Hello, it's Saturday the 4th of April. You're tuned in to our late night newscast, coming to you from Arirang's news centre in Seoul. Thanks ever so much for joining us. I'm Mark Broom. Our top story tonight. The US government has told North Korea that the international community's recently inked nuclear deal with Iran has no bearing on its stance regarding Pyongyang's denuclearization. Washington says the regime has to show a willingness to get rid of its nuclear weapons before multilateral talks on the matter can resume. Kim Hyun-bin starts us off.
The United States was quick to stress that the breakthrough in nuclear negotiations with Iran has nothing to do with North Korea and does not change the regime's obligations to abandon its nuclear arsenal.
These really are very different issues, and what Iran chooses to do or not do doesn't have a lot of bearing on whether North Korea lives up to its international obligations.
The remarks came a day after Iran, the U.S. and 5 other world powers agreed to a framework for a deal to curb Tehran's nuclear development in return for the lifting of international sanctions. The parties will attempt to iron out the details and reach a final agreement on that deal by the end of June. But Harf stressed that if North Korea comes back to the long-stalled 6-party talks on its denuclearization, the ultimate goal remains the same: for Pyongyang to cease its development of nuclear weapons. She emphasized the importance of a nuclear-free Korean peninsula, but said the ball is in Pyongyang's court. The 6-party talks involving the 2 Koreas, the U.S., China, Japan, and Russia haven't been held since late 2008. Despite numerous bilateral and multilateral negotiations, North Korea has continuously strengthened its nuclear capabilities, conducting 3 nuclear tests between 2006 and 2013. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
And South Korea's ruling and main opposition parties have welcomed the Iran nuclear framework deal and called on North Korea to follow Tehran's example. The ruling Saenuri party said Saturday that it hopes North Korea will adhere to the UN's nuclear non-proliferation treaty and join denuclearization moves on the Korean peninsula. Also hailing the Iran deal, the main opposition New Politics Alliance for Democracy said that Seoul should repel Washington's efforts to deploy a U.S. missile defense system here. The party says the deployment would contradict efforts to make a nuclear-free Korean peninsula. A Japanese daily is reporting that the country's parliament is unlikely to pass a resolution repenting for Japan's past aggressions on the 70th anniversary of the end of World War II. A Japanese official told the Mainichi Shimbun that lawmakers are not expected to pass a resolution before Prime Minister Shinzo Abe releases his statement in August to mark the occasion. An official from Japan's Komeito party also said Tokyo doesn't feel the need to pass a resolution simply because this year marks the 70th anniversary. Japan's parliament issued statements expressing deep remorse for the country's past aggressions in 1995 and 2005 on the 50th and 60th anniversaries of the end of the war. Korea and China, both victims of Japan's past aggressions, will almost certainly protest loudly if Japan's parliament doesn't issue an apology this year. And a former Japanese fighter pilot in World War II is warning his countrymen and women to never go to war again. Speaking to the New York Times in an article published on Friday, 98-year-old Kaname Harada says he is worried that as he and other veterans pass away, Japan will lose the memory of its bitter experiences and resulting aversion to war that have kept Japan anti-war since 1945 at least. Harada took a jab at the Shinzo Abe administration for being too eager to discard Japan's renunciation of war, making reference to Abe's push to revise Japan's pacifist constitution. The global mobile advertising market is expected to shatter 2 significant milestones in 2016. US-based market research company eMarketer says the mobile market will top $100 billion in spending next year and account for more than half of all digital ad expenditure for the first time. The projected amount that will be spent on mobile ads worldwide in 2016 is going to represent an over four-fold increase from 2013. The firm says the explosive growth in mobile ad spending is being driven by the recent adoption, or the rapid adoption of mobile devices. It estimates that in 2016 there'll be well over 2 billion smartphone users worldwide, and over 25% of those will live in China. 5 people have reportedly been arrested in connection with the savage and senseless attack on a university in Kenya that killed almost 150 people. Citing Kenya's Interior Minister, CNN reports the suspected Islamist al-Shabaab fighters have been detained but gave no further details. Now, police in Kenya have put former local teacher Mohammed Mohamud on most wanted posters as they believe him to be linked to this awful attack. Survivors have been describing how the gunman hunted down and killed students who couldn't recite verses from the Quran. Meanwhile, the al-Shabaab group released a statement on Saturday warning that Kenyan cities will, quote, run red with blood. It added that no amount of safety measures would be able to guarantee Kenyan safety, thwart another attack, or prevent another bloodbath. Now, a young American woman from Philadelphia has been arrested for allegedly plotting to join the Islamic State terror group overseas or launch attacks on their behalf in the U.S. Federal officials say 30-year-old Kiona Thomas was charged with allegedly conspiring to provide material support to the IS group. They say Thomas repeatedly posted pro-Islamic State messages on social media, and she was in contact with a fighter in Syria. The latest arrest comes a matter of hours after the FBI in New York arrested 2 women who were allegedly planning a bomb attack somewhere in the US after being radicalized, at least in part, by the IS group. Over the past 18 months or so, more than 30 people in the US have been charged with joining terrorist groups in Syria or trying to get there. Now, it can be quite a frustrating experience trying to squeeze ketchup or lotion out of a bottle when there isn't much left. In fact, many people, it's been found, just throw away the bottle without knowing that a lot of what they paid for remains inside the bottle. And scientists in the US say they may have a solution. It comes in a slippery solution to this problem, and they're eager to commercialize it. Our Park Se-young reports.
These 2 bottles contain the same kind of peanut butter. The difference is that the one on the right has a special coating inside, Liquid Glide. It was invented by a team of scientists at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. The team says this invention could reduce the nearly 1 million tons of food wasted every year, all that ketchup, mustard, and honey that gets stranded at the bottom of a bottle. According to a 2009 Consumer Report, 15% of condiments like mustard and ketchup get thrown out because they're simply inaccessible. The slippery coating is made of non-toxic edible materials, and it's been approved by the FDA. But the team's original target was the oil and gas industry. They imagined Liquid Glide coating pipelines, allowing crude oil to flow more easily, saving energy costs. The MIT grad students who created the coating have set up a company to take it to market, and they recently secured a $7 million investment to find out what other sticky situations it could solve. For now, school kids may be happy to hear that Liquid Glide has signed an agreement with Elmer's Products, a U.S. glue company. Park Se-young, Arirang News.
Now, the Korea Air Force Academy has launched a new observatory in the provincial city of Cheongju. The new facility offers visitors a special take on the country's history in the skies. Our Son Jung-in has a story.
The ceiling opens up and this massive telescope gets into position for a test operation. The telescope tracks down the location of asteroids close to Earth on an hourly basis. This new observatory is generally used to educate student pilots in the Korea Air Force. Although the academy has traditionally focused on aviation, it's now looking beyond into aerospace. It's responding to a growing need for knowledge and space science, but Korea still lacks schools to meet this demand.
The observatory allows cadets to observe Korean satellites that protect our spatial sovereignty. The Air Force will also conduct tactical exercises to secure our dominance in this field.
But the observatory isn't just for cadets and officials. Its doors are open to local students and residents too, and unlike existing similar facilities, it offers an added bonus.
Stars can be seen at other observatories. What distinguishes our observatory from others is that visitors can learn about real air operations conducted in the past.
The observatory is also equipped with a gallery and exhibition on the history of the Korea Air Force. Schools can sign in for tours featuring commentary from an expert in the aerospace industry. 손정인, 아리랑 뉴스.
Now, the 36th annual Seoul Theatre Festival has kicked off at Daehangno near Haewha Station. Under the theme Theatre, the Soul and Hopes of the Times, this year's festival features a total of 74 plays. The opening piece is Manchuria Front, which is a satirical story about a group of Koreans living under Japanese colonial rule in the early 1940s. It's directed by award-winning director Park Eun-hyung, and the festival itself runs through May 10th. And finally, taking a brief look at the weather here in Korea, we have typical spring-like conditions around the country this Saturday evening, with some light rain falling in the capital, on and off light rain, we must say. It'll be a relatively mild night, with the overnight low only dipping to 9 degrees Celsius in Seoul. As for Sunday, similar conditions today, really, with the daytime highs in the nation in the mid to high teens nationwide under partly cloudy skies. Now, for our views around the world, here's a look at the global weather conditions. Well, those are stories we have for you at this hour. For more, don't forget to check out our website, arirang.co.kr/news, and do download our smartphone application to have all the news and also Arirang's TV shows at your fingertips. Do enjoy the rest of your weekend. Goodbye.